Americans held up. Raffaello about to peel, and then Stickpin and Chasm into the straight. Rahib narrowly from King Mufasa. Magical Pearl, Gallic at the outside. Pillar of Hercules behind them with LA Wonder. Gold Salute trying to force a passage. Got Rock Kingdom on his outside. Rahib at the 200 from King Mufasa. Gallic is coming on. Rock Kingdom and Gold Salute are pushing through. Rahib still holding on. LA Wonder, Gold Salute, Rock Kingdom are coming. LA Wonder diving through, but done it. LA Wonder wins from either Gold Salute or Rock Kingdom, and Rahib close up behind them.
All right, LA Wonder taking out the two-rack, and I tell you what, you talk about being a slip of a yearling and everything. She must have been a beauty because 600,000.
She was a beautiful filly. It was a great result because she was the right filly, the right type, by the right stallion, and everything went well, and she was just a beautiful type, and she's gone on to produce a Group 1 race, which is the ultimate, I suppose.
Yeah.
And it's nice to sell yearlings for lots of money, and we've been very fortunate we've sold them for more than what they're worth. But to see them go on and perform is the ultimate result.
Well, that is, isn't it, the key, because you want that bloke to come back. You know, you don't want him spending 600 and gone forever.
Now, we've been in business for 20 years. I want to be in business for the next 20 years. So I want to sell horses to our current clients' children. So, you know, so they've got to be able to, the horses have got to be right. They've got to think they've got value for money. They've got to buy horses that perform. So that's ultimately what we need to do.
We're going to look at the half-brother at Ocean Park in time, who made good money, but the highest price you've got is in Sydney, 1.5 million?
Yeah, 1.5 million. And,
thrill?
Huge thrill. It was out of a mare that we'd sold. We'd sold her for good money as a yearling in Sydney. She went on to win a listed race at a Gay stable. The syndicate that owned her chose not to breed, so we bought her back. First foal, Senator Redute's choice, and got $1.5 million. Yeah. Fantastic. And I, at that time, obviously, the horses you sell for that sort of money, generally there's a bit for vendor to stay in, all the rest of it. So I went round to John Massaran and said, John, I think you bought yourself a wonderful stallion, a wonderful horse. I wish you the best of luck. If you need me to stay in for a share, I'm happy to do so. I really like the horse. And he said, son, if you can sell a horse for that sort of money and not have to stay in and take the money. I said, thank you very much, Mr. Massara. He's currently applying his trade as a jumper in South Australia.
Is that right?
Yep. He's won, I think, 5 or 6 races, so he's not a complete flop.
But he's a fair shade short of 1.5.
A lot. You know, and it's fair to say that his tackle's been taken out so he can climb the jumps.
Okay, I see what you mean. Hey, listen, talking about, can I just say, and I congratulate you, and I've always said, I've said this to Eliza Park in Australia, who sell a lot of sales. I think Trelawney, one of the few studs that can successfully sell both at Karaka and at Sydney. I don't think too many studs can sell 2 lots at that top end, successfully, and I think you do it well.
No, we take a lot of time to select the horses we think are going to be suitable for those sales, and the sales do change over a period of time. So the horses have to change along with them. We have had good success. We've got to make sure, because the cost when you leave the gate to Sydney,
you are committed to selling. If you go and sell in Australia, you are committed to selling.
It's a painful exercise to bring them back home. It's about $13,000 from the minute you leave the box door to after the sale. If you bring them home, you can add another 7 or 8. So it's a 20 grand exercise. So you've got to make sure the horses are right. And we've been lucky enough they've performed not only in the racetrack but in the sales ring as well. And part of the other reason why we do like to market some horses in Australia is to be able to create some Australian income, to be able to go out and buy our brood mares, to be able to send our mares to Australian stallions to pay the costs over there, which are significant. Yeah,
I can imagine. Hey, listen, one horse who looked at one stage like he was going to be the perennial runner-up, bridesmaid, was Red Ruler for John Sargent.
yeah, for Johnny and Andrew Meehan and Guy Sargent, and their friend from Hong Kong. He was wonderful horse to run second and third. And that one win eluded him for a long time, but it was fantastic to see them.
He was not a deer, was he? 60,000 or something? 60,000.
I bred him with John Cornish from Toryburn.
Yeah,
great character, good fella. And a Red Ransom mare we selected to go to Viking Ruler, and arguably one of his better horses. He was a lovely looking yearling. and you know, he was a great racehorse.
You've had a succession of them over the time. You haven't paid a lot of money for them. Quintessential, $70,000. Warhorse, $100,000. Black Mamba, who went on over to America, $120,000. So you have sold horses at reasonable prices, haven't you?
They're all cheap if they're any good, Steve.
Yeah.
If they're no good, they're all expensive.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, very easy to be that.
But when you sell a lot of horses, you sell them in different ranges, and you know, often the high price horses are. It's you know, very much a fashion orientation, and people, you know, a couple of bulls get together in the sale ring and they fight and they decide that that's theirs, and you know, the value.
Egos are a wonderful thing.
It's wonderful.
Absolutely. Let's not forget that. Let's not forget that. Hey, listen, you raced a filly, Saida, who looked very promising as a 3-year-old.
Yeah, she did. And I think you might have.
Yeah, we have. Have you seen this? We're going to take you to we're going to take you to Tauranga. This is the Dunstan Stayers Championship. And Saida, could you obviously touting her as what, a potential Derby horse, or was it?
Well, certainly Roger felt that she had an enormous amount of ability. On this particular day, Cherry and I...
Here she is down the outside. Hard to do this at Tauranga.
Yeah. On this particular day, Cherry and I were down in Christchurch. We raced another filly called Dominatrix, and she won a listed race down there on the day. So we did that and came in and saw this.
Gee, that was easy.
Yeah, she was...
never moved on it.
No, well, Roger thought she was extremely talented and you know, certainly touted her as a potential Derby prospect. She won 2 on end and was going to the Avondale Guineas.
Yep.
And, you know, he had Zonda recently before that, and he was, you know, talking in the same sort of frame about her. So we were very excited.
I was there that day at Avondale. Shades of spring, because I was at the Bay when spring broke down. I mean, very fortunate that you were able to save Said in the Avondale Guineas.
Was, and Cherry was out to here pregnant. We'd had no luck having a baby, and she finally got to the stage we might have got to keep one. Yeah. And this happened, and understandably, we were all a bit upset.
Yeah, jeez.
We were able to load her on the float and take her down to Takanini, where Andrea Rickmeister did the surgery. She did a wonderful job. We took her back home and to recover her after a week or so, and she was running and bounding around the box like there was nothing wrong, and she'd had 14 screws in her leg and pins, and in doing that she shattered all bar one of them again, so we had to send her back up to Andrea. She did a wonderful job to put her back together again, and we'd left her up there. Yeah. But she, yeah, we thought she had enormous ability, and you know, obviously been able to express that through Ocean Park, which has been very
yeah, we're going to move to very short. It is shades of spring, though, spring into daffodil. Very similar.
Very much so.
Are you of the mind that sometimes these good race meeters leave it on the track and unable to put it into their progeny, and that by virtue of the fact of breaking down, they actually have an ability to put it in, or is that just myth?
Oh, we've seen examples of it, you know, where great race mares haven't been able to emulate themselves, and it's very hard for any great race mare to leave a great racehorse, but often their daughters emulate their success. I don't know, I think pedigree is all about repetition of performance. Yeah. You've got good families, good pedigrees, and if you look through Saida or Ocean Park's family, you know, she probably could have won a race. Her granddam Eastern Princess did win a group race and had it taken off her. Yeah. And she's a house sister to Crick, who did win a Group 1.
It goes back to the old Waikato stud family.
Yeah, it is an enormously sound genetic family and a high-performing family.
It's a family that went to the sales Ocean Park. He made $150,000. I know Roger James talks about the fact that it just made too much for him. But look, as a 2-year-old, it must have been a bit of concern. I didn't realise this. He had 3 trials as a 2-year-old, did nothing. Didn't appear to do anything.
Every time I asked Gary, how's he going? Very happy. In a laconic sort of a way, you know, he was
Gary,
satisfied that, you know, he'd done what he'd asked, and then it wasn't until he, you know, sharpened him up at the end, then ran him in early as a 3-year-old.
Yeah, won a trial as a 3-year-old. In fact, I don't think he ever got beaten in another trial post that.
No.
Came out and went bang. He won the Wellington Stakes.
Treated them with disdain, and interestingly enough, we've had a Group 1 winner come out of that race, the Darcy Brahma horse, but. You know, from that point onwards, I thought that then his run up in Ellerslie was fantastic.
Took him to Australia. They ran him over there. He failed first time out. The track may have been against him. Then ran in the Rosehill Guineas. That was probably an indicator of just how good, because Silent Achiever ran 3rd.
Bossy killed him.
Okay.
Yeah, he ran 2nd, I think, in that race, and it was like he was doing nothing. All of a sudden, the horse wanted to do it, and he thought, well, I better get going. Yep. And the horse flew. So he was probably an opportunity missed there.
Caught Bossy out by unawares just how good he is. I think they have a preconceived notion of there. He comes out as we know, in the McPhee of that year. I mean, that was an incredible run that he had.
It was. You know, it was a hard run. You know, to be able to get clear air, and all of a sudden he got it and flew home. You know, for a horse that was probably bred to go over a bit more ground to win a weight for age 1400 Group 1 race, and it was a good field.
Were you talking to Gary Hennessy? Was he at this stage saying, hey mate, this is something special, or was...
Well, he was obviously thinking he was as good a horse as he's probably had, and he had Makapura Star and those sorts of horses. So, he's had some good horses, but, he set a fairly lofty sort of campaign for him that we were hopeful for, but certainly wasn't until he ran his first race in Australia. I think, well, this is a fair go.
Underwood,
yeah,
Caulfield, and then into the Cox Plate. And what a Cox Plate field this is going to be when we reflect back on it.
Well, they reckon it's probably one of the best Cox Plate fields for 20 years, and you look at the ratings of the horses in there, and I think he beat 8 or 9 individual Group 1 winners.
There's All Too Hard in front, Pierrot's behind him coming up on the outside, but he's got to the line here, the son of Thorne Park. What made you go to Thorne Park with the mare?
Oh, it was a good pedigree cross.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah, I just looked through the pedigree and it appealed. He had good speed, and he was a nicely conformed horse for her. I don't know.
The rest, as they say, is history.
Yep. Genius in hindsight.
I mean, exactly. All Too Hard, Pierrot, both going to stud at this stage.
Both standing for 60, and he's standing for 30. Get on quick.
Yeah, get on quick. Are you surprised that he ended up... Were you tempted yourself to consider going back into the stallion market?
Well, certainly people asked us, and right from the start I said, no, we would like to be part of the stallion.
Yep.
We'd like to be able to support him, we'd like to invest in him, and that would be really important. If we could come to New Zealand, we'd be in the realms to do that. But to stand stallions now again for our business, I think I need probably 3 or 4 stallions. Mm-hmm. I need to go from 35, 40 odd broodmares up to 100.
Yep.
And I need to employ marketing people. Yep. It's just like...
hey, let's just keep it the way we're going. We're going okay.
I've got a nice lifestyle, so why change?
Yeah, well, exactly. You spend time overseas. You've been to France and Italy and living 10, which is great. Let's talk about the rewards, though, because, I mean, he only made 150,000, but you went to the sales with a Pins horse this year.
Yeah, she does throw a really good type, the mare. In between that, we took an Ifraj filly called Lady Saida.
Yep, which Roger James did buy.
Roger James bought. He had a client that had $200,000 to spend on a colt. He managed to convince him to spend $290,000 on a filly in K2.
God love Roger James.
Yeah. And she's showing some ability, which is great. But she was a magnificent type. Then obviously all the moons lined up for this year at the sale, with Ocean Park doing well, and we sold a beautiful Pins colt. He was a lovely, athletic, he had good length, he had good strength, he had a lot of attributes of Ocean Park as a yearling.
We've got it here, actually. We've got the footage of him being sold. Unfortunately, not by myself, but Michael
we might have got more if you were there.
No, I don't think so. But there he is, Johnny Cameron. There was a few on this horse, weren't there?
Hong Kong Jockey Club were mad on the horse, and they went to a great price. And John O'Shea, he went to...
That's not MC Hammer, is it? No. That's Mark Walker.
That guy's a cricket player. From,
that's right, yeah.
But he was a lovely yearling, and he had probably the best temperament. And it's quite interesting when you look back at the race results of some of these high-price horses, and the better temperament ones tend to the ones that perform better.
What's she got now, Zeta?
She's sitting in the foaling paddock at Coolmore in Australia, in foal to Fastnet Rock. We're waiting to see when she foals.
Gee whiz, what's it? Hey?
We don't know, we'll see.
Yeah, what's it worth?
Well, only if I want to sell it.
Yeah.
But if she has a filly, we'd probably keep it.
Yeah.
But we'll go across and have a look at the foal and decide where she goes from there, whether she goes back to Fastnet Rock or she'll go to something else. I don't know, we'll see.
You talk about your life, you live the good life, mate. You are involved in a sport which is a very expensive sport, but you are very good, and that is rally car driving. You've been there, 2004 was your first rally?
It's that long, is it?
Yeah, that's nearly 10 years.
Yeah, it is.
What got you into rally car driving?
I've always been a bit of a petrol head.
Yeah.
Always been competitive.
We arrived in a Maserati, I've got to say. Geez, how do you pull up with the lights here? You wouldn't leave that parked in the middle of Hamilton at 12 o'clock.
It doesn't get out of the garage very often. I've got a truck instead.
We use it for our wedding, so I'm very happy for that, yeah. Hey, listen, so you got into rally car driving?
Yeah, I've always sort of been a bit of a petrol head, and I love the competitive nature of the sport. And I've got a good bunch of guys that helped me do that.
Chris Ramsey.
Yeah, Chris.
I looked at his profile. Geez, he's been very successful.
Yeah, he has. He's been enormously successful. He's a very talented engineer and car builder. He's predominantly does sort of engineering type business and the car building on the side and car development and things. So yeah, it's been great. Really, really enjoyed it.
one thing about you, sometimes you don't finish though.
Oh,
You're just pushing yourself too hard.
It's
just pushing.
It's that type of sport, you know. Your talent can run out really quickly, and when you don't start with much, it can happen up at any corner. Yeah. And so we've had a reasonably good run. Last year we had a wonderful season. We were competing a historic car. And there's an event this weekend called Possumbourne Rally. We competed in it last year and it was part of the WRC event, so it was over 3 days. We won our class and ran second in the rally. And on top of that, we won a number of other rallies in the two-wheel drive class in New Zealand and culminated in the Silver Fern, which is another passion of mine, which has gone from 1-day rally to a 7-day rally. So it's quite competitive over 7 days. And this last year we were winning by 12 minutes.
It's a long way in rally car driving.
You can drive a long way in 12 minutes into the second last stages, so stage 49 or 50 or whatever it was, and the wheel fell off.
I know. I read about it. I felt for you. I felt for you reading about it. Hey, listen, something is a passion for you, and it's charity. We all do charity work. But you did something which, you know, I've read about, which everybody I think would love to do, and that's walk the Kokoda track.
Yeah, it was great. It really was. Peter O'Brien from Cornwall State, great friend of ours, and Arthur Inglis from William Inglis's decided we would do it together. And at the same time, Katrina Williams with Catwalk was doing the Himalayan involvement, and my brother-in-law Scott had done that, was doing that with them. And we thought, well, why don't we be part of it? We can't do that. So between Arthur and myself and Peter, we raised just on $100,000 for Catwalk, which was fantastic for you guys out there that supported us. Thank you. Yeah. But it was a great walk, really was. It's a beautiful, beautiful country, much maligned because of its sort of political and the stuff we read on TV is really ugly, and Port Moresby's pretty ugly, but get out of there into the countryside. The people are beautiful and the scenery is wonderful.
You got 2 daughters. Any chance of them continuing on the legacy in the industry?
No, one wants to be a movie star like you.
Yeah, good on you. She has no hope, but she wants to be like me. Yeah. I only made it when widescreen came in with these ears.
Yeah, so she's pursuing the television and those sorts of things, and university up in Auckland, and she's working for 7 Sharp. So keep watching 7 Sharp, keep the ratings going.
Yeah, we're doing that. It's improving all the time. I do like it. Yeah.
Well, good, because they'll keep employing her if they keep going, so which is great. And so she was mad keen on writing. She was a very pretty writer, and she did particularly well. But her sort of ambition is not really so much in the farming side of it at this stage. It may change. The other one's 9. She's a real character, Ella. I don't know. She's a moving feast at the stage what she wants to do, but she's keen on farming anyway.
Well, Brent, congratulations. Thank you on what has been a wonderful year. And I love that quote, custodians of its history.
Yes,
Good
we
luck
are.
To you.
We're along with Cherry. She's been wonderful.
Certainly is part. Ladies and gentlemen, that is Brent Taylor, Trelawney stud. That's been another Off the Track.
Off the Track was brought to you by Windsor Park Stud, your first choice for stallions.